Welcome back to another episode of Sexy Marriage Radio, where alongside my wife, Pam, which, hey, good to see you here.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to be here.
I don't know why each week I'm surprised. It's like the surprised faces.
The faces.
We're having straightforward, honest conversations that really can largely be shaped by the nation, which this one, in a roundabout way, today's episode is brought on by a conversation that took place in the Academy Coaching Call of July 2025. Where a phrase was stated that it just rubs me the wrong way. And so we're going to dive deeper into that. That's actually the extended content. Let's do this in reverse order than we normally do.
Okay,
so the extended content, we're going to dive into a phrase that at some value, it seems like it might be true, but I don't really think it is, nor is it helpful when it comes to marriage and our own well-being therein within marriage. And then in the regular version, we're going to spend some time. This will be fun because you don't know the phrases we're going to go to, but we're going to come across, as you think of all the years we've been doing the show, all the years we've been married, and in the saturated information world in which we live, what are the marriage advice or statements, phrases that you can come across that maybe initially we think are true and would be helpful, but actually aren't?
So we're going to go through those.
Yeah, I've got like
All
5
right.
or 6 that are some of the main ones we can come across. And so what I would also love from the nation, if you listen to this, is what are the phrases that we don't cover? We want to hear from you on what are the ones that you want to be true, but maybe they just aren't, or the ones that you really think are true that you keep coming across.
We want good stuff.
Let's make a collection of them. So you can do that at nation.smr.fm, where the platform that goes on with lots of conversations from all the episodes that we do. We can start compiling ones, good or bad, and see.
Yeah.
That could be fun to do.
Yeah.
So jump on the platform, email us feedback@sexymarriageradio.com, or call us with your thoughts. 214-702-9565 is the voicemail line. So all that's coming up right after this. Okay. So there's a lot of different things that we can believe when we're coming into married life. Or, what I think of is how sometimes we would, have sayings, like we have these little foam boards that allow you to change out the letters to make different sayings that are just thoughts or anchors or ideas to spur us on. So the spirit of all of those, I think, is really good. How do I keep something that I want to keep in my mind in front of me?
Yeah. I mean, we have one in our house that the board says, discipline is freedom.
Yeah. Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
Because if I'm disciplined with stuff, I free up a lot of things.
Yes.
And actually last night when we had some friends over, one of them even said, I really like that phrase. He had not ever seen it, I guess.
Right.
So,
but there's all kinds of things, marriage phrases that people throw around.
Absolutely. Okay. And some of
gotcha.
These are the ones that as we start thinking about it and go deeper within it, I can understand the impetus of why I would want it to be true, but is it really true? Is the better questions that we want to be asking. So here's the first one. And this has been around for a long time, and I've railed on it at various times when I've had a chance to speak, but it's from the movie Jerry Maguire. You complete me.
Yeah.
So what would be something that I think we would why would we want this to be true?
Why would we want it to be true?
Because I think this is what fuels it. These are things that we want.
I think it's a Hollywood, I have that perfect person out there that just fills in all the gaps that I don't have.
Right.
And it's just more of a Hallmark moment of that's the perfect person for me and it must be true love.
Yeah, there's something that my weaknesses will be fulfilled and completed with your strengths, and together
or canceled out.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I think of it also from a Christian standpoint. We can do this idea of you complete me as the two shall become one. I think if we skew that quite a bit on the dial, it starts to become this of we will become one. And that's the idea of the yin and the yang. When we are together, our strengths will overcome each other's weaknesses, and together we are one, which I can understand why that's an appealing thing, but it creates a lot of friction and it creates a lot of tension. And it also creates a lot of this whole partner fulfillment fantasy disappointment that you would just know. It would we would be seamless with things. We wouldn't have divergent thoughts.
You should know what I'm thinking. You should know how to complete my sentences or
Right.
whatever the case may be. Well, and the reality, it feels like just setting some expectation of another person that is not fulfillable. We're holding them above where maybe we should our faith, and no human being can complete us.
Nor will we be complete while here on earth if you have a biblical framework. We are broken, fallen beings.
Yes, we are. Agreed.
And so there's also an element of the flip side of this is we are all each, like you're describing, working towards completion. We are working towards wholeness. And so we don't cease to be individuals when we say, I do. We do create an entity of a marriage, a relationship together, but we are still our own individuals in it. And there's a lot of individuality that needs to be enhanced throughout. Like I need to continue to bring my best.
Yeah. And I think there's an idea behind, and I'm assuming behind a lot of these sayings that you're going to bring up, an idea behind, the two of us coming together in a marriage is a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are gaps that are filled in, right? I mean,
or complemented.
Complemented maybe is a good way to put it. I would rather be with you than without you. And so I feel like, we could get on this whole episode and it's all negative. Here's why this is bad. But we as people come up with phrases like things like this because it feels good, because we want to be wanted and we want that other person that is a joy to be around, that we love being around.
Well, this is that fusion fantasy that Spurs is on. This is what drew me to the whole differentiation framework in some ways, because if you look at the things where a big group, a collection of people are operating in complete unison, like when the river dance, the Irish dance took off.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is it looked like one brain. And there's an idealized in that. Precision military movements and exercises will captivate you. Marching bands can captivate you, the ones that are top notch on their march. And it looks like it is all just in lockstep, one brain. And I think we extrapolate that and try to put it on a relationship, that it will be a one brain thing, that we won't have tension and conflict. It will be seamless. And that's what drives it, which I understand our motivation for it, because think of how encapsulating and engulfing that would be of an experience.
Well, and how great when it feels within your relationship, within your marriage relationship, that in the seasons where you are kind of clicking.
But the cost of it is, what does it do to you when you're not?
But that's not, it's not all the time.
Okay. And so here's a corollary to it that kind of fits in the same vein. Okay. So we may not have to go as deep with this one, but marriage is a 50-50 proposition.
That one is funny to me because when you really think about it, you're a math person, right? And you think, yeah, I'm only giving 50%.
That's F level work. Actually, that's failing.
It's failing work.
If you do school.
So it was funny, and I never thought twice about it. Yeah, okay. So the marriage is 100%, and each of us gives our half. I loved the reframe from someone else. I don't know, maybe your grandparents or somebody. No, it's 100. You both have to put everything in.
That's right. On an individual level. I like that a little more.
We have to give everything in. But then you get back to, okay, if we're back to the math of marriage equals 100% and you're both giving your fair share, which is the 50-50 comment. We all know anyone who's listened to this podcast for an episode, that's not how it is all the time. Right? I mean, there's seasons where one of you's having to carry more of the load.
There are times where it's 90-10 on a topic.
And it could be a pendulum back and forth.
Right. I think that's more realistic. I don't know if the one thing about this framework that's a little troublesome to me is it idealizes stuff rather than, how about if we could just use it as a way to capture where things are better, of like, this is how I can identify, okay, wait, I think in this season on this particular topic of our relationship, it is skewed this way. more. So what do I need to do about that? One, I just need to be more honest and real about it if I feel like it's way out of balance. Two, it could just be playing to strengths, and that's just the way it goes. But then I also need to, at the corollary, add to it what's going on with me in my own personhood as I am orienting towards the relationship. Is 100% of me choosing this? So I think you can kind of parse it out and use it still as a framework, not an ideal.
Yeah. Yeah. With the reality, when we go back to the higher desire, lower desire, or higher, whatever the phraseology you choose to use for that on the various topics of your relationship,
Right.
it might always be slanted more to one than the other.
Yeah. One person's going to be more relationally bent than the other. As far as they're leaning, they'll carry more parts of things than the other. That is the reality. And that's where I think if I can use that as a, hey, wait, this is just, I feel like it's 90-10, but I'd rather it be more 60-40. I'm cool carrying a majority of the weight, but I really would love just a little bit more coming my way, or 70-30 or 80-20, because even that is a little more equal distribution. Equals a bad word, a better distribution of the topic. Okay. And so another one that's interesting, our love will conquer everything.
Yeah. Well, you go.
I understand the appeal of this because there has the love conquers all, right? That's if you go with the Christian worldview of love is the ultimate that will see things through. But the conquering as a relationship dynamic, that love's not enough. It is a fantastic, important component, but it's not the only thing. That's where we get sideways with it.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to place this one because I believe that loving others, that is what we're supposed to do.
We are called to love. Yes.
We are called to do that.
But that does not allow or mean I tolerate total mistreatment, total neglect, total abuse, I still have boundaries involved.
Back up a second, though, because when we're talking a marriage relationship, if one is being abused, that means the other person isn't loving, right? There's the absence of love if those things are coming into play.
Okay.
Right. So
fair.
Love is not conquering all.
Because it's not, both sides are not doing this.
Both sides are not doing it.
But one side can still do it, but they have to treat themselves in a loving way as they orient towards the relationship too.
So I think that phrase is so loaded.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know that I don't believe that phrase.
Okay.
Because if 100% of us on this planet, our first priority is to love, wow, that would be amazing.
Well, but then because this is where it starts to go so many different ways. Love what? Right?
Other people. Because I'm referring to other people.
Fair.
I'm not referring to the love of money or the love of whatever, right? If we loved other people.
If we actually loved others as we do love ourselves.
Yes.
The golden rule
even
here.
The people that are driving down the road and recognizing the beauty and that they're children of God. I don't see how that wouldn't conquer all, right? That's what.
Right. Well, so that's where it's the idealized, if everybody's on the same page, then, okay, wait, because that's what then fuels a commitment into married life when things go sideways.
Yeah.
Because love is one of the things that helps me see tough times through. Because I love what could be. I love what we've had. I love who you are, what we're capable of. There's elements of it, but I can't do it blindly. That's where it gets sideways. Love still has to be a huge fuel, but I also have a relationship dynamic and a relationship with self that plays out, that I need to be wise and a good steward and have boundaries and commitment. And, there's a lot more factors involved.
Sure. Well, I think that the phrase, love never fails, right? That's in the word. And which kind of equates to the love conquers all. But then we have to have the reality of we live in a broken world.
Yeah.
But I don't think that phrase is wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another one. Never go to bed angry.
Well, sometimes right before bed is not the best time to have the conversation.
Totally.
If I am angry and I can't calmly walk through the situation, maybe it is better for me to go get a good night's sleep.
Yeah. The end of the day is oftentimes can be the worst time to try to deal with real heavy tension laden events or dynamics of your marriage in your life.
Yeah.
Because you're spent. You're just tired. You're not functioning well. Your brain state is bad. And that's not necessarily wrong, right? Doesn't mean necessarily something's going wrong, because it's a finite ability we have when it comes to our energy, our sleep, our nutrition, our health, all of it. And so sometimes the absolute worst time to take care of the real tension, chronic issues in your marriage is after the kids have all gone to bed and you're at the end of the day after a long, hard day's work. And then you go into your room together about 10 o'clock and you want to, all right, let's start talking. Maybe it's best that we schedule a breakfast date after we get everything squared away the next day or the weekend.
Yeah, and I may not feel like calling it a date at that point. Well, we've got an appointment.
It's a schedule. We have scheduled this thing. Yeah, but it's just trying to force things when our emotions are frazzled isn't good advice. And this is built off of, in some regards, of don't let the sun go down on your anger. There's the scripture, right?
Right.
And so there's this reference that we can, when we Christianize it sometimes, it's like, no, that's what, hold on. Let's look at it with some wisdom and some discernment here. Yeah. Is that really what's being implied and said here? Because sometimes I need to actually, with the anger on a Christianized side of things, with my anger, I need to settle that and get right with that, with my spiritual life, on what's it doing to me. It's not about the person yet. It's about my relationship with it that I need to get better with and bring in love, bring in wisdom, bring in counsel, bring in whatever, and then start to deal with the person that's involved with it. Okay, it kind of goes along the same lines in some ways. Marriage is hard work. There's some nuance in this one.
All right. So you don't think that that's an accurate statement?
Well, this is where there's the nuance. I would take issue with the hard work.
Would you say marriage is easy work?
No, marriage is work, because it does require commitment. It requires discipline. It requires our involvement. It requires our effort. When I go through long stretches of where marriage is hard work and it's not from external circumstances going on in my life, because you can have seasons. We're in one, like sandwich generation. There's a lot of things that can come at and invade is the easiest word that comes to my mind, our relationship with each other, rather than us aligning to face it better. It can sometimes eke in, and it starts to really create this tension between us about it. But most of the times when I have had clients, or I look at dynamics between us over the 32 years, when it has been quote unquote hard work, it's largely been because I'm living or being someone that's immature in how I'm facing what's going on. I'm just having a fit, which makes it hard work then in a marriage, because there's no true potential for collaboration. It's my way, or I'm not getting my way, so I pitch fits, and that makes it really difficult.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I just think that that's what meaning do you put behind a word? I don't know what's wrong, what deciphers work versus hard work. I think it's hard work if it's mentally taxing to you, if it can be a struggle.
Yeah.
And just because something's a struggle doesn't mean that I am less mature.
No, okay. I'm not meaning it that way. I'm meaning it as, how often can you get caught up in a chronic relationship stage or dynamic where one person has dug their heels in on something that now is really impacting where the relationship could go, right? Because it's the natural evolution of, if you think about it, marriage at its best is people being challenged by each other to grow up. That's the phraseology we believe in here at Sexy Marriage Radio. That's what it's designed for. Well, when you would have times in our history where you could see of what a potential could be for your own life and the way you want to orient towards something or address something. This doesn't fit exactly, but this is the example that comes to my mind. When your job was at a bank and you wanted to shift to the tax firm, if I would have taken we can't change stance. No, I like it just like it is stance. I dig my heels in on that without it being, here's my rationale as to why. It's just because I don't like change, which that's immature behavior in my mind. If I'm just digging my heels in and I want it just because I want it, that's immaturity. That creates a tension where now the work becomes harder on how we navigate that, because I'm becoming way too rigid with something and not willing to re-examine something or not willing to challenge something. I see that as immaturity. So that's when now all of a sudden,
I would agree with that.
I see the impact on the marriage becoming much harder, because now it puts a different tension on you rather than all the other uncertainties that you're really trying to confront.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by it is, and that's why this is a nuanced semantic one that's not as clean as You Complete Me on. It's not an idealized, it's more of it's only really, really hard work when there's immature behavior going on, or there's somebody not tolerating something that, they're not looking at their own part in it. Now, all of a sudden, it puts the onus on the person, one spouse, way too much.
I guess I disagree. I think it's still hard work, even when it's not one of the spouses being immature, right? Parenting issues that just make life hard.
Okay.
So I don't know. That one, I don't have an issue with that phrase.
Okay. Well, this one will dovetail into where we're going to go in the extended content, because the one I want to land on when we're in the extended content, and we're going to unpack this at length in the extended content, is you can be right or you can be happy.
Okay.
Right. Because it creates this, it's like it's a quick, it seems like, I can understand why this is appealing. I'll answer a little bit of it, and then we'll go deeper into why this becomes really problematic in the extended content.
Okay.
But the appeal of it is, it feels like it's a way we can just calm some tension in the moment, which I think all of us would agree we want.
I think there's moments of that
I just don't want the conflict anymore. And so this is a way to get out of it.
I mean, my first question is, do you know that you're actually right?
Right. According to whom?
Right. According to whom?
Yeah.
Right. I immediately think of this phrase, and I may be diverting it a little bit. I had an old boss that would say, well, you can be right or you can be dead right.
Okay.
And his example of that is, he's using it in work, but, I'm at a green light. I have a green light. So I'm right to proceed through this light. But some bonehead running the light, even though I was right and I was coming through, he runs a red light and comes through and nails me. Well, if I'm not at least looking both ways to make sure there's not some crazy person not paying attention to the street lights, and I'm not paying attention to that, then I'm dead right, because he just nailed me when I came through.
Right.
So it makes me think of that phrase, and I think, well, what in this could be right? But
there's the nuance that's important, because I've heard a corollary to this phrase too, which is that you can be right or you can be right, because it's that when you are demanding of my rightness, most people won't hang around you.
Yeah.
In long terms.
All right. Well, we're starting to unpack it a little more.
No, but there's the elements that I think this builds off of the hard work that marriage is, because we get into these seasons where we are ingraining, where we're getting our heels dug in on something where the other's not. They're like, hold on, I don't want to go about it this way. I don't want, but the other one's still got something fueling that. And so this is where it starts to really pivot into something that can be really problematic when you look at it through relationship lenses. So if you want more, as we go deeper into this and how it becomes real problematic, join us in the extended.